Mike, the Super Bowl was exactly what I thought it was going to be. It was a very good game, and the outcome was what I thought it would be as far as the Packers winning the game. What stood out for you from this game? Any surprises with the Packers-Steelers Super Bowl?
Well, there were. I don't think there were any surprises. I thought that the difference in the game was Aaron Rodgers, and he's just playing at an incredibly high level right now, and I think it's because of how incredibly fundamentally sound he is. His footwork, his mechanics, his release, just allow him to do things that other quarterbacks, most of them don't even try, and very, very few of them can do. And I think the threat of his making these incredibly difficult over-the-middle throws kept Troy Polamalu off the line of scrimmage, so he wasn't able to freelance and do all the crazy stuff that he does. And that kind of turned the Packers into the Steelers into a so-so secondary and a so-so pass defense, coupled with both teams did a really good job of blitz pickup. You could tell that they really worked on that and really game planned for that. Sure. Right, 2 weeks to prepare. Both teams did a great job of that. And then with the Packers, Charles Woodson going down, their other secondary people getting beat up, they may have been vulnerable a little bit in the second half. I think they were. But Rodgers was able to take advantage of the Steelers' vulnerability. Big Ben, not quite.
A couple things jump out for me here. I think Troy Polamalu, I think was a little banged up coming in. It's one of the things I said to you guys before.
That's right.
Some Steelers fans had told me that they didn't think he was 100%. Yep. When he's flying around there, I also don't think he's as good in pass coverage overall. He's a glorified linebacker. He plays about 15 pounds heavier than most safeties, and it pays dividends against certain teams. He's great against Cleveland. He's great against the Ravens. When he can get up in that box, he's great, and they're great against the run because of him.
But he couldn't do it in this game.
Tom Brady's 4-1 against the Steelers. Kurt Warner threw for a ton of yards against them last year. And the Packers did what I thought they were going to do. Everybody kept saying the Steelers are great against the run. I thought, well, that's good. The Packers aren't going to run the ball.
Non-issue.
All year.
What a non-issue that was in this game. Yeah, amazingly so.
They ran the ball like 11 times. It wasn't their fact. They spread them out. Packers, Jordy Nelson's their third or fourth receiver. And a couple of years ago, I thought, why is Ted Thompson drafting another receiver? He's a very good one, and we'll move up because James Jones is probably going to go. And I
think they went to him so much because scheme-wise, they just had the Steelers couldn't cover all of them. They thought he was going to be the guy who was going to be available, and he dropped a few of them, but he caught a lot of them.
I'll tell you what, the Packers had like 4 or 5 drops. Rodgers could have had more than 400 yards.
Oh, he could have had unbelievable statistics. Yeah, he really could have.
So I thought I liked the Packers. I thought they were going to win. A couple other things jump out. One, I am so sick of people saying, well, this makes Ted Thompson's decision to get rid of Favre. This validates that. That's a bunch of crap. The Packers were in overtime against the Giants in the NFC Championship when they lost, and then they decided to get rid of Favre. The next year under Rodgers, they were 6-10. A couple little tweaks, they could have been in the Super Bowl. They wouldn't have had to have the hiccup. I think they could have been back. Are they set up better for the future? They're the second youngest team? Yes. But don't be sitting there saying Ted Thompson made a great decision to get rid of Favre. They could have won with Favre and these guys they had coming through just as much as what they did with Rodgers, in my opinion.
Well, but don't you think they would have had to make the transition at some point?
At some point.
Okay, well, are we past that point now, do you think? Or
they took a 10. You win now in the NFL. It's play for the future. They were 10-6 the following year after playing in the NFC Championship, so it set them back.
Right, I understand what you're saying, but now this is one of those perennial arguments. Do you go all in for a championship this year? Maybe they sacrificed a year in order to kind of go all in.
Maybe we'll find that out, and maybe I'll change my opinion. But at this point, I think they could have already been in a Super Bowl under Favre and the guys they had come through with a couple tweaks. We'll see. If they win more than one, then sure, maybe I'll change my opinion. The other thing was, I slightly was rooting for the Pittsburgh Steelers and Big Ben because he still is 10-3 with his loss, 10-2 coming in the playoffs, and 3 Super Bowls would have put this guy who nobody thinks should be up with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and Joe Montana. And maybe he's not as graceful, but there's something about this guy that you can't match what he's done. So it was an interesting aspect for me.
Well, this is an area where you and I are in pretty strong disagreement, Starkey. I think Ben Roethlisberger is 10-3 in the playoffs because of the team he's on. I think he's the 5th best quarterback in the NFL. My opinion of him has not changed one bit as a result of what happened Sunday. I don't dislike him. I don't imbue him with magical properties because of what his team has done. I think that's something that we do way too much when we talk about sports.
I would take Ben Roethlisberger or Peyton Manning. Maybe not Tom Brady right now, but Ben Roethlisberger has to be one of the elite quarterbacks right now in the NFL. But if he would have won this Super Bowl, I would put him up there in the all-time for what he's been able to accomplish.
Well, we have to disagree.